I'm cry a lot. You can confirm that. It's not a dream.
Really?
Yes.
It's one of the guys that I want to sit to have a nice talk. It was one of the guys.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
The rest is normal. Like, it's normal. I'm not normal. I'm perfecto.
For the first time in 3 years, it's time to open Pandora's box. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the greatest players of all time, with an extraordinary legacy. I'm old enough to say that I basically watched his rise from the beginning, when he was just starting to stand out at Man United and for Portugal, and like a lot of kids my age, I thought Ronaldo was the coolest player alive. The dribbles, the haircut, the cocky attitude, the goals, the free kick stance, everything he did was copied in my skull. There were no haters back then. But as the years went on, I started paying attention to the world around me and realized that even though CR7 was loved, he was also one of the most hated guys out there, even in his own country. And now, in 2025, we've reached a point where literally everything Ronaldo does becomes a debate. Always emotional, with random fans wasting hours of their time arguing with strangers online about whether Ronaldo is a good person, whether he deserves to stay in the national team, and so on. But Ronaldo isn't some kind of victim in this story. Today, for the first time in Thorn FC history, we're going to talk openly about Ronaldo. I'm going to poke fun at the clowns who waste hours of their lives defending his honor online, but I'm also going to expose some of the lunacy Ronaldo himself has shown over the last few years. And it's around this part that I usually say I'm gonna give you some context, but do I really need to explain who Ronaldo is? He's literally the most famous human being alive. He's the guy who made you wear a yellow shirt for a club no casual fan had heard of before 2022. He's the guy that if you ask your grandma to name a football player, she'll name Ronaldo. Whether he's the best of all time or not, it's undeniable he's the most popular. No matter how much brands push a new generation of talent, Mbappe, Yamal, none of them are close to CR7's level yet. There are many reasons for that, but the biggest one is simple. They're too clean, too sanitized. Mbappe is a PR dream. Yamal's personal life already made him look like a fool to the masses. On the other hand, Ronaldo felt original. He said things nobody else had the guts to say. He called himself handsome. He called himself the best player in the world before he'd even won a Ballon d'Or. His confidence was contagious, like he willed his greatness into existence. He scored impossible goals, he won games by himself, and the best part was that he did it consistently. You can argue all you want about whether he's the GOAT, but thanks to modern technology, Ronaldo will never become a myth. Even when time turns me and all of you who witness his prime into dust, the footage will stay, and it doesn't lie. Over 900 goals, hundreds of matches won because of his brilliance, and an average footballing nation raised into a powerhouse. His legacy is undeniable. But that's not why I'm making this video. Everybody already knows Ronaldo in his prime was untouchable. But nowadays, it's perfectly reasonable to question whether he should still be a guaranteed starter for Portugal. It's reasonable to question the value of the goals he scores, given the league he's playing in. But to Ronaldo's most loyal supporters, that's just hater talk coming from Messi fans. Apparently, Ronaldo is a poor victim. Apparently, FIFA never shows him the way they shows Messi. Apparently, he only has fewer Ballon d'Ors because Messi was favored. To be honest, there's a bit of truth there. Yes, Messi was favored in some years, but wasn't Ronaldo also? Using the same logic people used to attack Messi's wins in 2010, 2019 and 2021, we would also have to question Ronaldo's win in 2013. But of course, being impartial, what's even that? Still, I agree with the idea that Messi has always been the face of FIFA. It's not a crazy claim. Messi was always painted as that humble kid who married his childhood crush, the main character, the Goku of football. And Ronaldo was painted as Vegeta, arrogant, obsessed with surpassing his rival, and ultimately the loser of the story. And it's not me saying this. A former FIFA president, Sepp Blatter, once made it very clear how he viewed both players. But what confuses me the most is Portugal's hate for Ronaldo. Why? Does it really bother you that someone from your country became insanely successful? In Argentina, Messi is worshipped. Almost no one thinks Ronaldo is the GOAT, it's basically taboo to even say that. But here in Portugal, it's extremely common not only to prefer Messi, but to hate Ronaldo. And even the people who don't hate him hate the influence he has on the national team. The argument is simple. Ronaldo is a legendary figure who attracts insane attention. Many people hate the circus around him and feel his performances don't justify a guaranteed starting spot, and some think he shouldn't even be in the squad. Saying Ronaldo shouldn't be an undisputed starter at 40 isn't controversial, it's logical. The problem is that Ronaldo himself doesn't agree with that, and neither does a federation who profits way more with him on the pitch. This isn't a fact. I have no recordings, but it's interesting that Fernando Santos was mediocre for years, failed in 2018 and 2021, and only got fired when he benched Ronaldo. Roberto Martinez is a yes man. He's not benching Ronaldo anytime soon. I get playing him against big teams. His vision didn't disappear with age. With fresh legs, he can still break elite defenses. I mean, he proved that in the Nations League. But do we really need Ronaldo against teams like Ireland or Armenia? Is Gonçalo Ramos really that incompetent that he can't handle those games? Of course not, but the 1000 goal record outweighs all logic. And as someone who openly admits Ronaldo is my favorite player ever, even I think this is crossing a line. Every player has personal goals, but the national team isn't the place for that. The national team exists to represent and elevate the country, not to pad goal records against weaker nations, and for years now, it's been obvious what Ronaldo's priority is. Still, Portugal kept winning. His presence still intimidates defenders who grew up watching him dominate and still see him as a god. And unlike the Raider warriors killing each other in threats, I could live peacefully, ignoring Ronaldo's narcissism. But recently, I left work exhausted, heading to a demanding training session and decided to listen to Ronaldo's newest interview, looking for inspiration from someone who, despite his flaws, always embodied hard work, discipline, and dedication. But to my surprise, I could barely recognize the person speaking. Blame me if you want. Seriously, maybe I changed. Maybe I'm the one seeing things differently now. But man, this guy cannot be the same person I idolized as a kid. And it's not just what he said, it's how he said it. For example, he explained why he didn't attend Jota's funeral. I mean, totally valid reasons. But then he randomly goes, "I cry a lot, you could confirm that with Gio." Like what? Am I supposed to ask your wife? And even if you didn't cry, is she really gonna say that you didn't? These answers just make him look less genuine. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of that interview. He goes on to say that the World Cup isn't a dream and doesn't define his value as player. I mean, I get the logic. Players born in countries with no shot at winning the World Cup shouldn't be excluded from GOAT conversations. Fair point. But saying it's not a dream for him, that's just bullshit. If it wasn't a dream, why didn't he retire from the national team after the Nations League win? He had a great tournament, strong performances against Germany and Spain. He helped his country beat two historically difficult opponents. It would have been the perfect exit, but of course not. Because a fairy tale ending for Ronaldo, besides the 1000 goals, which he will eventually hit, is winning the World Cup. Matching his rival, achieving what he never achieved. No matter how much he tries to protect his ego and avoid heartbreak, we all know he's a competitive machine and the World Cup means everything to him. If he didn't, then why did he cry in 2022? He knew it was probably his last real chance and that it had slipped away forever. But now he says it's not a dream. Yeah, sure. And finally, what pissed me off the most is that his midlife crisis is ruining his neutrality. Throughout my whole life, especially after 2015 when we were basically forced to choose sides on everything, Ronaldo always stayed neutral. He was focused on being the best and never ever hit it. Everything else was irrelevant to him, and that always fascinated me. You never saw him take positions on Black Lives Matter. He was basically forced to kneel in one of the dumbest moments I've ever seen in football, where players cosplayed as female tourists kneeling down in some random nightclub bathroom for Zezé Camarinha. You never saw him celebrate Pride Month, but you also never saw him oppose any of it. It was a smart move. He stayed globally appealing. Muslim and more traditional fans never turned against him, and progressives didn't hate him either because he didn't oppose anything. But now he's clearly picking sides in the dumbest ways possible. he's turned into a corporate figure, a walking ad, and just like what happened to Dwayne Johnson, that eventually has consequences. With a straight face, he tells you that the Saudi League is better than Liga, better than the Portuguese League, while his club recently lost to Estrela Amadora and Portimonense. He says it's easier to score in Spain than in Saudi Arabia. Basically, he'll always defend Saudi football because he's being paid to do so. And for someone like me who values authenticity, this stuff is really hard to swallow. Then Ronaldo talks about peace, while wanting to meet with the president of the most war-involved nation on earth. Super coherent. But that's what happens when your ego is so big that you only surround yourself with people who say yes to everything you do. People who make you believe you're perfect regardless of your current level, people who never challenge you because they're terrified you'll cut them off. This interview is the perfect example. Piers Morgan looked more enchanted looking at Ronaldo than a 12-year-old seeing naked women online for the first time. He's an ass licker, a leech with no real value, hiding behind the mask of a Ronaldo fan. And that's exactly what Ronaldo wants. He prefers a pleasant lie over brutal honesty. Unfortunately, I don't relate to that mindset. And as a content creator with my own opinions, I think it's important to talk about this, not to attract diehard fans or haters screaming, "You're a Messi fan," or "You're a Ronaldo glazer," but to attract informed people who have their own opinions, even if they disagree with me. So, I'm gonna leave you with one question. Do you think 2025 Ronaldo is still the same person he always was? Or did something seriously change in him? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Thorn FC and hit the bell so you get the best Portuguese football content straight to your phone. And by the way, the new Portuguese League card collection just dropped, and I'm seriously thinking of doing pack openings and much more. So leave your feedback in the pinned comments so I know whether you want that or not. As always, thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video.